All right, it's Wednesday. The Severe Weather Awareness Week continues, and today it's flash flooding. Uh, we laugh about it now, and maybe just maybe a giggle here, but we had some pretty significant flooding here not too long ago, and flash flooding is definitely, I think, on a lot of people's minds now of just how dangerous that can be in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, and that's something that particularly this year with how wet everything has been over the past few years, the trigger to be able to get flash flooding is a lot quicker than what it has been in the past. This is the most common way that people will die from thunderstorms. Typically, it's driving through a flooded roadway or something that's been washed out that particularly in the middle of the night, imagine if you're cruising along some back highway and you start going through what looks like a low spot, and maybe there's just a little bit of water going across the top of the road. But as soon as you drive over it, the whole road can collapse in. What happens is these culverts get plugged up with debris, and the water goes around them and washes out the road underneath. So driving at night, any low areas is really kind of something to watch out for if you're ever in the middle of something like this and are aware that there's flash flooding that's occurring.
Yeah, Tim, when did the cell phone, because now we get alerts via cell phone if you're in that warned area, when did that begin? Is that part of the impact-based warning system, or, well, I guess it is technically, but...
So the flash flood warnings were part of the wireless emergency alerts when that all rolled out a number of years ago. New this year is that they've removed the baseline flash flood warnings from those wireless emergency alerts just because the frequency of those warnings is fairly high, and a lot of people they were finding were shutting off their cell phone option for that. So with the scale that we have for the impact-based warnings, there's three total levels we can go to with our warnings. It's the baseline, considerable, and catastrophic in terms of what kind of flooding is happening. So it won't trigger for the baseline flash flood warnings anymore. It's more so at the considerable that it will go off for that on people's phones that, hey, this is a serious situation. Any flash flood warning is a serious situation if we've thrown that out there. But this is going to another level, similar to what happened in Dane County a couple of years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And who could predict that the amount of rain that did fall, the record amount in such a short amount of time would happen. As far as how these warnings come out, certainly if a thunderstorm rolls in and it's been dry for a while, severe thunderstorm rolls in, whatever, kind of walk us through, would we see are we going to see a flash flood watch, a flood watch? Maybe break that down a little bit for us.
Yeah, so the flash flood watch would be more so in the days ahead of time. If we're seeing some sort of pattern setting up where we could see thunderstorms lingering over the same spot for a while, or if the ground's already saturated from rain that has come through over the previous few days. So that's kind of our first heads up that, hey, if you're going to be out there, be aware that flash flooding may occur. The warning, that again is kind of the similar conditions. If there's an area that looks like it's been hit by rainfall recently, we have to adjust our threshold for issuing a flash flood warning. In city areas where there's a lot more pavement, if you get a heavy rainfall or a thunderstorm training over the same area for a while, that water drains a lot faster, and it doesn't like out in the country where if you get a bunch of rain, the soils can soak that up. In the cities where there's pavement everywhere, it doesn't get soaked up. It just runs off to wherever the lowest point is. So it can lead to some viaduct flooding or just not going anywhere for a while if you get a lot of rainfall in a short amount of time. So that's really what we try to warn people about, is those situations where there's going to be potential of life loss if people drive into these flooded roadways.
And that does lead me to my next question. It doesn't take that much amount of water to actually sweep a vehicle away, and we see it time and time again every year. People chancing it, and you just don't know how deep that water is, and it shouldn't even be a chance thing.
Yeah, and that's something I actually personally witnessed back in Watertown in 2018, where I pulled up to a viaduct that had been flooded in northwestern Jefferson County. And they had the gates, they had the sign up saying road closed, and you could see that the water was flooded. And some guy still drove around the barricade and tried to drive through the flooded road. And he just said, like, when the fire department pulled him out, they asked him, "Why'd you do it?" And he's like, "Well, it didn't look that deep." Well, you don't know how deep the road gets underneath the water. It might look like it's flat and that there's nothing there, but as soon as you get about 2 feet of water, that's going to lift your car up and displace it, and you're not going to be able to drive away from that. So even if you don't drown in that situation, you're still going to ruin your car. So if you want to throw thousands of dollars away and have to get a new car, then that's something that's best to avoid if you can.
Well, and truly, you're putting the first responders and everybody who is a part of that in risk as well. So when you take that chance, you're really you're putting a lot of people besides just yourself in danger. Tim, thank you so much. Again, one of those topics where we could spend a lot of time on, and one that should be spent talking about. But we'll pass all that information on as each when these storms do come in.
Yep. Thank you.